Hello everyone, TLSG here, back again with another daily Marvel Snap video. Recently, they announced a lot of new cards that are going to be releasing alongside collector's tokens in Series 4 and Series 5. I already did a Series 4 tier list, and so if you're looking for a breakdown or trying to decide what cards you should aim for in that series, check that one out. I'll leave a link in the description below. But as for this one, we're going to be covering these 6 Series 5 cards that they announced in the recent video to rank where these cards are going to fall to figure out which ones you should potentially aim for. And as a kind of wide umbrella disclaimer, these are my impressions of the cards. Now, it could be that maybe I didn't think of a combo or a way that these cards are going to be able to be used, and they might end up being one of the best cards. So something I put in tier D may actually be an S tier after everything is all said and done. But as of my initial impressions, this is where these cards are going to stand. And so starting off, we have Bast. Bast is a 1-cost, 1-power card, but she has the on reveal ability, set the power of all your cards in your hand to 3. Now in some decks, this may not be that great, but in certain decks, this is going to be amazing. So I'm thinking Khazar Zoo. If you use this alongside your Khazar Zoo, now all of your 1 and 2 power cards are going to become 3, and you can already flood those onto the board late in the game. So you can save Bast, you can save most of your resources and drop Bast on turn 4 or turn 5, and then drop a lot of your 1-cost cards on 6. This is going to be really strong for a Khazar Zoo deck. You can use this to create some kind of crazy combos for maybe a Cerebro 3 deck, where you use a Bast alongside another card. But I think as a kind of standalone card, she will see some strong usage. She's going to make Khazar Zoo, that's already really strong, take it to another level that I don't think it should be at, but I think she has a pretty strong effect. I'm going to put her in B tier because I think just her inherent power potential could be very, very strong given the right deck in the right scenario. And then next up we have Galactus. Galactus, we all know, has the on reveal, if this is your only card here, destroy all other locations. It comes in as at a 6-cost, 3-power card. So then the question becomes, how do you win that lane if you have to play Galactus on turn 6? You can do things like wave. You can support that lane by sending the opponent either a green or a hobgoblin in that lane. You can potentially fake out a destroyer deck list that looks like you're going to be running destroyer in one of the lanes and you're just sending them goblins. And then all of a sudden you drop a big Galactus. I think a lot of people are going to go all in with like the wave and the Galactus, but I think his strength might lie in the fact that you could use him alongside a traditional destroyer list as an alternate win condition. And I think the thought and just the potential of this card is just so good. And even if he was a 1-0 with no ability, he would absolutely be at least at bare minimum an A tier because of his animation alone. I think the threat of this card being in the game and being on the board is going to shift to how a lot of people start building their decks, because you're going to have to worry about, my opponent has an empty lane. They could do a Galactus here. I need to cover just in case. So you're going to see a lot more debris. You're going to see a lot more goblins out on the board to make sure that the opponent can't utilize that upside. And then again, this is another case for Cosmo, where he becomes very, very needed in most of the meta. And so I'm going to put this one at A tier, not just because his effect is just so inherently strong, but just because of the kind of meta-defining threat that he brings just by existing. And then next up we have Shuri, and Shuri is a 4-cost, 2-power, similar to our Wong, but she has the on reveal, double the power of the next card that you play. Now imagine if you do this with a Black Panther, or another strong card, so a Gamora, or something just like late game, a huge power presence. Just dropping this on the board on 5 creates so much threat that it's going to be really hard to anticipate what your opponent is going to play and where their power can be. Just having that on reveal, even just once, if you trigger it twice, Kamartaj or Wong, all of a sudden you're going to, I think, quadruple your card's power. This card is going to be broken. It's going to be an S tier. That's, I don't know any other way around it. Another case in point for Cosmo. And then next up we have another really, really strong one. We have a 4-cost, 2-power Super Scroll. And Super Scroll has the really cool ongoing ability that this has the ongoing effect of all enemy cards. And so they threw down their Luke Cage, they threw down their Iron Man, they copied that with a Mystique, or they did a Patriot into an Onslaught, into a Mystique, and you drop this on the last turn alongside some of the rocks that they sent you. you're going to all of a sudden have all of that Patriot combo at your disposal. And so if you're running a Cosmo and you hide this behind a Cosmo, you have maybe an Omega Red and they drop one ongoing card, this is going to be very, very strong. But if the opponent's not running any kind of ongoing cards, then this one will start falling flat. I think just the threat of having this in the game, similar to Galactus, is going to make it next level. That's going to make it where running Mr. Negative decks is inherently very, very risky and very, very scary. Doing a Spectrum ongoing deck list that runs all ongoing cards is now going to be a very, very big liability. And so I think just the threat of this effect alone puts him at S tier. I think he can impact so many games. He can be teched into so many decks and just easily accidentally swing an entire lane for himself. Your opponent drops a Devil Dino, and in another lane they happen to drop an Iron Man. You now have a insanely strong Super Scroll, and this is going to create some absolutely game-breaking effects, and I can't wait to see it. S tier is where he belongs. And then next we have the much anticipated Thanos. This alongside Galactus have been teased for the entire beta since beta opened up, and I am so excited to brew decks around him. I think he's going to be inherently just kind of middle of the line. I don't think he's going to be great overall, because each of the Infinity Stones that he shuffles into your deck, there are going to be 6 of them. You're going to have to place them on the board, and then you're going to need a way to clear up your board. I think it just becomes very, very risky, and it opens up the possibility to your opponent dropping a Cosmo. You can no longer clear that lane. A lot of kind of scary, a lot of things, especially if they're running a debris deck, they can cap out a lane when you're not anticipating it, and you just flooded a lot of your 1-cost stones. But this will be another strong use of Killmonger. You can throw your stones on the board. You can, I believe, clear all of them off the board with your Killmonger and then open that space back up. This is the card that I'm most interested in building a deck around, just because it is going to be so unique. You're going to know that this card is in play as soon as the game begins, and that just makes me very excited. I think he's going to be cool when he works, but I think he's going to just kind of fall middle of the line. So I'm going to stop beating around the bush. I believe he is going to teeter between C and B tier. I'm going to put Thanos at B tier because I don't want to be snapped into oblivion. He at least deserves B tier just for being inevitable. And then lastly, we have Valkyrie. And Valkyrie is a 5-cost, 3-power card that has the on reveal set all cards at this location to 3. Now, initially, I didn't think this was going to be very good. I thought this was just going to be kind of middle of the line, and it was going to be good in Cerebro 3 decks, and that was about it. But then looking at it closer and talking about it in my Discord, I realized that the on reveal is all cards. So that is your cards and your opponent's cards. And so that means that you could use this as a last turn finisher. If you have a blue Marvel, your cards are going to get set to 3, theirs are going to get set to 3, but you get the additional buff from your blue Marvel. And so then, therefore, you just win that lane. Even if they had a really strong Black Panther that was 4 million power, you then set it. If you go last, you then set it to 3, and it doesn't matter that they broke the game because you right-sized it. And then your blue Marvel allows you to get the upside from them. You could also have something as simple as a Mr. Fantastic that is going to push 2 power, which typically doesn't feel like it's going to win the game, but in this case it could. If you set their power to 3 and they don't have something that pushes additional power, then that extra 2 power could be the make or break for that deck and for this game. And so I think Valkyrie is actually going to come in at an S tier. She is just going to be so flexible, and it's going to be hard to play around her other than Cosmo, which we're going to need to see Cosmo in so many decks to be able to protect ourselves from a lot of these strong on-reveal abilities. But if she's able to trigger that outside of even the Cerebro 3 deck, which I think she'll be good in, it's just going to kind of polarize that one lane. And then if you have one lockdown with a Professor X on the other side, or if you have something else where you have a strong win condition there, Valkyrie is just going to win you the game. But that is the last Series 5 card that I have. Where do you guys rank these 6 cards? I know that it's early on, and whenever they are a surprise factor to your opponent, you're going to get some 8-cube games, even from the lower tiered ones. I think in the long run, their true impact in being flexible, being consistent, puts them around these tiers. But let me know your thoughts down below. Did I get one completely off base? Is there a playline that I didn't think of for one of these cards that make it more worthy of a higher rank or a lower rank? Let me know in the comment section down below. I'm interested to see what you guys think. And as always, this has been TLSG. Later, guys.